Hello, everyone. It's Diane, the massage mentor. And you are?
I am, I don't know how to say it, the Rebel Massage. So honored to be here with you, Diane. So honored. We're the mentor of all mentors. Huh?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It's exciting to be here with you, too.
Love
Hopefully
it.
someone will join us. Right now, we don't have anyone with us, but we can just start because they'll be playing online.
We've got a few. Yep, we can start. We've got a few questions lined up.
We have a few questions, and I'm just going to read one of the first ones. And you and I were talking a little bit before we went on, and we had some ideas of things to talk about too. But okay, Here you go. Ready?
Let's go. Bring it.
The first one is how to deal with inappropriate massage inquiries.
Okay. Should I start?
I would love you to start. Mm-hmm.
Slam the door. It is definitely something. It is so something that we walk down all the time, and I'm so sensitive to it because massage therapy is just walks that fine line of being, professional and intimate, and it's one of the things that gets under my skin probably more than anything else. And I think most massage therapists can relate to this experience. So how do you handle somebody who's asking you something that's inappropriate? I mean, I think really that's about self boundaries. I think that's about really understanding how to say, this is where it stops, and this is where you need to shift what you're thinking. So the trick there is about A, knowing the moment that it happens and trying to not get flustered. And then B, being able to say it in a way that is educational and not condescending. Because the last thing that we want to do as massage therapists is come across as a field of people who are, I don't know, it's just snobby or put offish or whatever it is. And I don't think any of us want to be like that. I think that we entered this field because we want to be of service and we want to be, giving back to the community. But I definitely think that when somebody asks has inappropriate inquiries, whether it be like a legit person on the table or some idiot who's making a joke, I think that the ability to kind of say, all right, here's the deal. Like, I can see why you think that. I can see why this is where your mind is going, but I need to educate you. And then go down the list of all the things that you do that is, very physiologically and anatomically important and pain, the path of pain. I think that's where I go often. Although I also can say that I haven't had an inappropriate comment in a really long, well, not comment because that happens on YouTube, but I haven't had an inappropriate request in a long time. But I think that's because I don't allow it. Like, it's so clear. Like, don't even come in my office if it's even a centimeter in your brain. So, but it worked really hard to get there. I think that's a self-boundary thing. That's a self-awareness thing. And it takes a long time to develop that sense of being able to say it with clarity and confidence.
And I think, I don't know if you would agree, but I think that's something too that comes with time. Because I have a lot of new therapists that come in for interviews and maybe a few that have started with me early on out of school. And it's, they get terrified. They don't almost like at first you don't know how to stand your ground and just. I didn't even expect that I'd have to have the boundary. I think I thought when I graduated massage school that people would just give me the respect that I felt like I deserved after educating myself on the entire human body and then paying money and then, making myself a legitimate massage therapist. I just assumed that people would treat me with respect. And I think a lot of us are almost like, whoa, surprise.
Yeah. Such a good point. That's such a good point. And so I think schools teach it now how to handle inappropriate advances, and it's it's all over the news these days. There's definitely lots of gray area when it comes to massage and sex trafficking and happy endings and all that stuff. But I think You're right. It's hard to develop that skill. I think it takes time, but I think that's true of anything. I mean, I think life in general, when you're 20 and 30, feels a little difficult to navigate. And when you get into my age, I just think you start to really settle in and figure stuff out a little bit more, and having clarity behind your words becomes a little easier. So time, well, on that topic, Diane, I will say that patience is key. And I think this is another question. So if you're okay, I'm just going to keep babbling for a second.
Oh, I love it.
It's what I do. I talk. I think a lot of massage therapists graduate and then get out into the field and kind of go, when is the confidence coming? Like, how do I feel confident with my work? How do I feel like it's flowing and I know what I'm doing and I feel like somebody can walk in my office and I don't have to be flustered about whatever it is they're presenting. And again, I think that just takes time. I think there's a lot of diligence in study and a lot of diligence in practice. But I think that ultimately the diligence has to come with patience, because it just will reveal itself to you when you are absorbing and you are learning and you are dedicated to the craft. You will all of a sudden, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years from now. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. Diane, you've been doing it for how long?
24. Yeah.
Right. So and I know at 10 years in, I still wasn't feeling super confident. And I just think when you have the patience to let life present itself and let skills present themselves and let a deeper understanding of management and kind of maneuvering through, like, that stuff will come, and letting it be a time thing is a skill I think a lot of people have put to the wayside. Like, we are just we've got everything at our fingertips right now. So this being able to look something up and find the answer right away has become distracting from the ability to be patient and let things really resonate and become true to who you are on a cellular level. I think that's key.
I have one for you.
Yeah, tell me.
Time takes time.
I love your nuggets. You have so many good nuggets.
Time takes time, and we don't know. Well, we don't know until we know it. It's like a lot of, like, you don't know how you have to handle situations until the situation appears, and really no one can prepare you as an individual how to handle a situation, but you could be, honest, open, and willing with how you're feeling and seek some counsel. Like, I didn't learn how to talk to clients by myself. I watched other people.
Right.
I admired. I've always been very observant. So just in the way they would do everyday conversations. When I went somewhere for a service, I was always like, ooh, I love the way they did that. I love the way
they do that.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
It's never ending.
Never ending.
The things that you can learn by watching others and what other people are doing instead of, I think one of the things too, that it's really hard to just be a little, like, humble in the beginning, and even sometimes I always have to keep checking myself. I personally just want to make sure that I'm trying to, always trying to keep learning and evolving, and realize, I always said to therapists too, it's patience, perseverance, and persistence. Like, if you don't have those things as a massage therapist, it's just so, with everything. I'm guessing it's not only it's everything. Relationships. We were talking a little bit about relationships. It's patience, perseverance, and persistence. I always thought that when I entered a relationship, it was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
We're in love.
Right.
But it's patience, persistence, and perseverance. You got to keep showing up for each other, and you got to keep showing up for yourself.
Yeah, I was literally just saying this morning. I think that having a career is a lot like being in a relationship. Like, you dive in, you're super excited, everything feels exciting, and then you get to the harder stuff, and you don't necessarily know how to manage it. And then 10 to 15 to 20 years in, you're like, this is boring. I don't know how I want to do this anymore. So how do you keep that spark? How do you keep the spark? And I think that's huge. I mean, So true. Your what did you say? Patience, persistence, and perseverance. Those are good. That's good.
Aren't they good? The three P's.
The 3 P's. That's really good, and it's just the truth. And we don't have true wisdom and true knowledge until we get to those things. I mean, you can learn, and you can be educated, and you can know stuff to some degree, but true wisdom and true knowledge comes with the time. That's my quote. I said that.
But it's true. And I think, like we were touching on too, it's everybody, I want it now, I need it now. I mean, it just, again, like situations take time to show themselves to you, and it takes time to learn how to navigate through those situations. And, still today, I'm 24 years in. I have 12 people working for me. We are kicking some serious massage ass here in Philadelphia. We won 6 awards, but before I do things, before I do a lot of things, I call my peeps, and you and I love talking to you. Like I don't feel as alone, or we have it's an isolating career too sometimes, being a massage therapist.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge topic. So again, I think this was another question that we got. Was I don't remember. I don't remember what the question was, but something about I don't remember the questions, but I'm just going to go on what is in my head, because I think this is really important. I think that when you are in this field and you become, whether or not you're working for a chain or a spa or anybody, a chiropractor or a physical therapist or the amazing Diane Mikowski, I think that you are ultimately kind of working for yourself, because what we do, we don't sit in meetings all day, and we don't have these huge phone calls all day. We go into sessions with one person for an hour and a half at a time, and you are the only one making the decisions in that moment. And I think when we do this work, it is exactly like you said, it's very isolating. So how do we maintain a community, and how do we maintain relationships with mentors when it is so easy to just be exhausted at the end of your day, feel like you've spent your entire day handling everything on your own, and then just wanting to collapse and be a vegetable at the end of the day and watch Netflix, which is what I want to do every day.
Well, I think that's a good point. And that's one of the things that you and I were talking about earlier too. Well, just to go back too, when I used to work out of my house, and I worked by myself, and I would literally stand in the window and wait for the next client to come. And that's, massage, waiting for people to come, but I was all by myself. And really that's why I created a business, Freedom Massage, is because I was like, this is so lonely. I need other massage therapists around. And for me, I've always thought that massage was a community event. And one of the things that I'm noticing with a lot of the mentoring and stuff that's going on is everyone's like, work for yourself. You got to get this. You got to get that. You got to do this. And I just feel like, honestly, I would love to get some of my people on here. Like, you can have a beautiful group of 12 people working together where everyone's making a living that can sustain them, and you're not on your own. We bounce things off each other, we're all in this thing together, and it's actually a lot of fun. And there used to be a lot more of those small massage businesses, where it was a group.
Right. Or even just like, to your point, you created so you kind of were in this place where you were working out of your own home, which I think a lot of people do. And then you're never even leaving the house. So then your clients come to you. It's very isolating. But I think when you're in that situation, and I think this is true of everything, you are the one who's responsible for making your path. So if you want more community, you make more community. Start a group of massage therapists. And it doesn't have to, there's a ton of Facebook groups, obviously. This is a great one. And they're helpful, but I think it's also really helpful to see people in person and face to face, and to sit with the community and just come up with a topic that you feel like you handled or you met that week, and just open the dialogue, because that's where, when you're in something and you're trying to figure it out in your own head, it just turns into a muddled mess.
I have another one.
Tell me.
Einstein said.
What?
Albert Einstein said, Albert Einstein said, the same mind that created the problem cannot resolve it. So a lot of times we need outside resources.
That's beautiful.
So a lot of times you need the help of others because you're in your own mind, and
right.
It's really hard to
forest through the trees.
Yeah, you gotta get out there. And like I said, and too, one of the things that my mentor and I were talking about is, that not everyone's a born leader. And I feel like people start to give up when they can't build their own business and do it on their own. Like that is a ton of work. And not everybody has that skill set, and it's okay. It's okay to find someone to work for or with or whatever it is. And I think that's one of the things. It's either like, can I just get this out?
Yes.
I've been thinking about this. Okay, let's say, oh, well, what are you doing working at Massage Envy? They only pay blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, what was that person doing before? Mm-hmm. What if they were making even less money doing something they hated? And Massage Envy for them is like a huge leap. Huge leap of freedom. They still have all that freedom of, like you said, they walk into the massage room and it's their gig. They get to decide how the massage goes to a degree. I think they have some roles and stuff. But who are we to say that they haven't taken a huge jump, right? And they're on their journey. And thank God for the Massage Envy that they got the job at so that they could start or do whatever. Maybe they'll be there until they're 100 and love it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We don't know anybody's story. We don't know everybody's story, and it's too hard to. I mean, I've definitely been one of those people that has said, I want you to take more charge of your life. Publicly speaking, when I talk on my platform, I'm all about you guys out there in the world taking more control of your career and your life, but mainly because I think that we live in an expensive country and financial stability is huge. But I definitely also think that it is exactly that. Like there is just, everybody's got a story, everybody's got a path that we don't know all the details to. And so thank God for Massage Envy. I mean, I've taught so many classes and those graduates get out there and they're like, well, I got a job at Massage Envy. And I'm like, that's perfect. It's the perfect launch pad. It's the perfect, there's so many things that Massage Envy does for our career that we're not really talking about and honoring. So I think that being able to, be in a world where massage therapists can get a job like that is, we didn't have that. I didn't have that when I got out of school. So it's nice. It's a great segue, and it could be a great job for somebody for a long period of time. Yeah, I totally agree.
I'd like to see some, me personally, my dream would be somewhere in the middle more, having massage therapists who are running and operating a business where other massage therapists can flourish and grow as well.
Yeah, like what you have. I think what you have is genius and amazing.
So fun.
And yeah.
Some things are hard, don't get me wrong, but all in all, I mean, it's really cool to, I can't imagine doing it any other way.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you. I'm super duper, like, when you reached out to me and I looked into who you were, I was like, this woman, she's built something serious, and that's huge. I think that's, like you were saying, it takes a certain person to do that. But even if you're not that person, find somebody who has built it and be a part of that community, because that's the kind of community that supports us and helps us to remember why we're here and what we're doing, and talk about the things that are hard and rejoice the things that are awesome and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know what's awesome? You
are awesome.
Okay.
I'm going to come visit you, Diane.
I know. I can't wait. So where are we? Do you have it? We were talking about time. You said time management a little. At the very beginning stages of transitioning from work as an employee to a sole proprietor, I have a great foundation and understanding of the massage side of things, but know next to nothing about running a business. What are some resources, marketing, writing, business plan, et cetera, et cetera? How do I find a mentor? And I was saying, hello.
So there's this great website called Freedom Massage, and this great woman who's built this whole massage mentor thing. I'm just going to say that you guys should check her out because she's a resource of information. I'm just saying.
But I think it's, in all honesty too, it goes back to what we were saying, you know, like I think I was interviewing Dave Moran, and he started maybe 40 years ago or something crazy. And he was saying they didn't even have a massage book yet.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like we still are really evolving in the whole business side of things. And you know, you all know, I don't know if you knew this, but I wrote a little book on massage, and it's a start. But I mean, it takes again, like we were saying earlier, it's like you got to keep showing up. You got to be persistent.
Right.
You got to find your team and figure a lot of things out.
I think, first of all, my computer's about to die. Hold on one second.
Rebel!
Okay, second of all, sorry. Second of all, I think that one of the things that is really important to understand is what it takes to leap from working for somebody else to working for yourself. And that there is a certain risk involved. It's inherently risky. There's no doubt about it. But I was just telling somebody this story this morning about when I was teaching, and I started my YouTube channel, and as it started to grow, and then I started making butters, and I started selling them, and as that started to grow, there was this moment where I was teaching and doing YouTube and making butter and seeing clients, because I still see clients. How I knew that I wanted to stop the teaching job, because not because I didn't love it, but because I knew that my YouTube channel and my butters had a chance, and I wanted to see if that would go. And it was so scary to walk into my job and say, I'm not going to teach anymore because I'm going to dive off this cliff and see if I land on my feet. And I think there's a lot of, what do they call it? Calculated risk. It's definitely a calculated risk. So taking the time, like you and I have been saying, to build a clientele, having the patience to learn how to run a business, because that's no joke. I mean, there are people who go to school for decades to learn about business, and we are diving in with maybe one class that we took in an 8-month program. Like it's crazy. There's a lot to know about business. And having the persistence, patience, and perseverance, right? That's the other P.
Yeah.
Having the perseverance to stay in it. So if you take the leap and you quit a job that you have at Massage Envy or a big chain or somebody else, and you decide you're going off on your own, there's a dip. Like you're here and you're gonna dip before you go back up, and chances are you're gonna go up and over, but you got to be okay with the dip. So you got to know that it's going to take time. You got to know that there's going to be parts that you're going to have to scramble a little harder for, and you're going to have to just be patient with getting that clientele base to a place where you can sustain, you can self-sustain. I'm sure you know all about this.
Well, one of the things, as you're saying that too, it was weird because yesterday I was driving to a meeting, and in my head I was like, I wonder how, I'll just say his name, he probably wouldn't care. I wonder how Jim Simmons is doing. And he was my very first client, like one of my first house calls. And I remember I went to his house. I met him out and about. Long story, but I saw he had a Stonewall golf shirt on. Now Stonewall cost about $70,000 to join, so I was like, I'm pretty sure he could probably afford my massage, right? So I see it, and I went across the way to him, and I said, hey, my name's Diane. How you doing? What's going on? My name's Diane. I do massage, And I gave him my card, and literally like 2 days later, he called me, and there was a group of 4 people, and they had me do an out call. So I went to his house. I massaged him, and at the end of the massage, he's like, boom, he handed me $100 bill for a tip. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I can do this. Like, $100 tip. I was like, I
Yeah.
was so excited, you know, and I couldn't believe that he did that. But anyway, so last night, 20 years later, I think, you know, I picked up the phone and I said, "Hey, is this Jim?" And he's like, "Yes, it is." I'm like, "This is Diane Mikowski." Now, I saw him, granted, for 5, 6, 7 years at his house, you know, and I saw his whole family. I said, "This is Diane Mikowski. I just wanted to call and say that my life is so much better because you were in it." He's like, "Well, I'll say, sweetheart." You know,
Chills, like chills.
That was so sweet of you to call me. I said, "I just want you to know that I value you and I never forget people who help me along my way." So I think that that's another key thing for therapists, right? Is to value the client, to value every experience with every person who's willing to come into your life and pay you to have, you know, they're going to take off their clothes and you're going to work on them.
Yeah.
Like, that is an invaluable trust and honor and sacred. And I feel like that's one of the things like that you and I vibe on really high, you know, and it's something that's getting a little bit lost. Like, Jim changed my life forever because he was supportive and excited for me and thought I did a good job, you know, and I'll never forget Jim. And it was great to call him 20 years later and say thank you. You know, he moved to Florida, but you know what I mean? Like, so the value too, valuing your clients, valuing the people that come into your, no matter where you're working, you know. I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but
I have two things to say about that. Number one is that you have the insight. I think it takes a lot of wisdom to recognize the things that are good, because I think it's super easy to go through life and just focus on things that are hard. And so you become, you know, like that becomes your vernacular. But to be able to say, I want to look at this thing and I want to really understand if that was something that was valuable or not valuable, and then to be able to honor that value. Like, that is a skill that I know that you, Diane, have worked really, really hard at. And I know that I work hard at it. Like, it didn't come naturally to me. I had to work really hard at that. And I think that's one of those things that, like, if you as a mentor could impart anything, like that's one of the biggest things for sure. So well said. Love that story so much. But the second part of it, the second part of it is that I think that I tell my students this all the time, and I feel like this is one of my mantras. Like, you get out of your practice what you put into it. You get out of life what you put into it. So if you want the consistency and the positive feedback and the growth and the giving to happen, you've got to make it happen. And when you do things like that, when you call a client and say, "I just want you to know, like, it's not just me working on you and how are you and how's your body and how's this. It's about, like, just so you know, I'm getting so much out of this too, and I can't thank you enough." Like, that kind of stuff, that builds so much trust and so much community and so much value. You're amazing, Diane. That's awesome.
Well, every single client, you know, every session, it could be seen or viewed as a classroom, you know, and every one of them is a teacher for me as much as I am for them. And I think, you know, like, again, there's some of the little things that I would say through our growth spurt here that kind of get lost. Like, hey, the client is invaluable. We're here to serve the client. And Jim, what's up, man? It was just really neat to do that call. And, you know, it's those things too, like we were talking about earlier. If a door cracks or opens, we said this last time, you got to walk through the door. You know, you just got to walk through the door and just keep being persistent.
Right.
So long answer to that question would be, you know, how do you, you know, go from working for people to yourself? It would be patience, persistence, perseverance. It would be, you know, using your massage, you know, knowing that whatever you put into your massage practice is what you're going to get out of it, you know?
Absolutely.
Really being willing to put stuff into it and really valuing people's time and money.
Huge. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. If there was any wisdom that I would impart, it would be exactly that. Definitely. I love it. I love it.
What do you think? Do we do one more? Or?
Is there any questions coming up live or no?
Hi, ladies. My favorite. Hello. Nothing coming up live.
No questions. Okay. Sure. I have time for one more.
Let me see. What do we have? We did that one. Oh, how do you, and I think we've been talking about all this though. How do you build internal confidence that what you're doing is good work and what you're charging is fair regardless of the price? You said you got excited about this one.
I was dancing a little bit. Yeah. How do you get that internal confidence, and how do you know what to charge? I think this blends into everything that we've talked about already. I think there is definitely a theme to this conversation today, and it is knowing yourself. You've got to know yourself, and that takes patience. I think that I undercharged for way too long because in my head I felt like I was serving. That felt like a service to me because I felt like I was helping people afford something that I could give them. But what ended up happening was that I felt, I don't want to say cheap, but I felt not valued. And so it's the same idea of value that is all the same no matter what perspective you put it in, whether or not you're valuing a client in the way that you did, or you're valuing yourself. If you put that out there, you will get it back. So there's a sense of getting to a place where you do build confidence in the skills and the techniques, but then to tie that in with a value of knowing what you're giving and knowing what you're offering and being able to say, this is what I'm worth. And understanding that money is not evil. Money is energy. And so you're putting so much energy into what you do, and all you're doing is receiving energy back when you ask for a price. You're receiving energy, and this is the energy that our culture speaks. So it's about accepting that this is the culture we live in. That money is a way of communicating that energy, and it's okay to say, I have this energy that I'm going to give to you, and I would like this energy back, and that feels good to me. I think those things are really important. It's got to be a mindset around, I think money is a hard one. It's got to be a mindset around money.
And my brief suggestion would be too, is just there is something, I think, to what's the market in your area kind of question, like what are other people charging? I remember in 1996, I was charging $60 an hour for massage. And one of my clients was like, I think it's too little. I don't think you're charging enough. I think you should raise your rates. And I'm like, what do you think? Like 65? I mean, this is 1996. I'm like 65. He's like, no, I think you should just go to 85. I was like, 85. This is like 1998, 99, and it was so very interesting. It wasn't like I just got out of school and I was like, I'm just starting my practice. I think I'm charging 85. I had a middle of the line price. And then once I built my book and I built the business and things really started to take off for me, I just took a deep breath and I raised the rates, and those were my rates for many, many years. I didn't need to raise them again. No one had to go through another shift or change. And I did lose a few clients, but they were the clients that kind of, you guys know what I'm talking about. It felt okay that they decided to go somewhere else.
Right. You definitely want to attract the clientele that's going to honor you and respect you. And that's a huge piece of the pie. That's huge. I like it when clients say that too. And clients are like, "You're not charging enough." I mean,
you'd be surprised.
That's when you know.
I think you guys would be surprised if you're willing to do it, how they'll respond. And I just want to give you a shout out before we go. That you've worked really hard on your YouTube page, and one of the things too that I think I just want to give you a round of applause, and I hope that people will leave some nice comments, because it takes a shit ton of work. It takes a lot of work to do that. It takes so much work, and I don't think you're sitting around counting millions of dollars them. You know, it's it's something that you're doing because you love the work. And I would imagine that there's even people who make snide comments sometimes, and shame on you. And I'm sure you get a lot. I'm sure you get a lot more pleasantries. But you know, I just want to thank you for your hard work. And it's funny because again, how I met you was because of that hard work. You know, one of my therapists, literally on her breaks, just sat there and watched your videos nonstop. So I just want you to know that you're making a huge difference. And you and I have to be, we have to persevere. We have to be patient. We have to be persistent, because I don't know if the massage community is quite done with us yet. I think we're a needed resource.
We're still in it. We're still in it. But again, like my hard work, like I got out of it what I put into it. I met you. You know, and that's never would have happened if I didn't put in this hard work. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that, you know, I'm receiving a lot from the world, and there's a lot of it that is so amazing, and there's some of it that is really hard to hear. But for the most part, like I want to keep putting in as much hard work as I can, because I know that this is the stuff that, you know, at the end of the day, I lay down and I feel so proud. And that's like the bottom line. You want to feel like when you're putting in all that hard work and when you're putting in that value, that you can lay down and feel good about who you
Someone
are.
just told us they loved us. We love you too.
I love you too.
So that's the thing too. I just want to say that anyone that gets their eyes on this video and watches it, you're all making a difference. And I always say to my therapists, they're like, especially, you know, I'm not sure I'm doing anything. I'm not sure. And I always say, you never know. You might be pushing just the right enough amount of blood in the right direction to prevent a horrible illness in someone's body. You might never know what it is that you're doing, you know, and maybe someday you'll get a call 20 years later and hear about the great things that you did. But, you know, just keep on keeping on. Or else sit in a cubicle and go like this at a computer.
Yeah.
And do things for people you'll never see.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I love what we do. Love what we do.
Woo!
You're the best, Diane. You're the best.
Right. Hang tight there for me, Rebel. I'm going to end the broadcast now. Bye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of it. And we'll see you again Tuesday, the first Tuesday of what month are we in? August.
Just saying.
See you then. All right.